welcome back to another Talking Wolves podcast. My name is Dave. Today I'm alongside Matt Cooper. Matt, how's it going, man?
Yes, mate. All well. How about yourself?
Yeah, all good, mate. All good. Great to be back chatting with you and obviously talking about the Wolves. It's been a strange couple of weeks since the last podcast. We're obviously going to be talking about the games between now and then. We're going to be answering a lot of the questions that you listeners, subscribers, followers have sent us on Twitter. And I've had a couple on other platforms as well. So we're going to be chatting about that, and it's been a strange few weeks. Let's say that. Before we kick off though, be sure to go and check out our channel partners, the podcast sponsors, which are the Pitch Football app. You can go and check them out in the Google Play Store or the iPhone App Store. Fantastic football app to go and check out. You can get your latest scores on there, but also interact with other fans. You can leave score predictions or predict your lineup as well. So normally a day before the game or on the day of a game, you'll see us on Twitter post our predicted lineup, and that's all courtesy of the Pitch Football app. And as I say, they power our podcast, so please go and check them out and show them some love. But Matt, 3 games since we last met. 3 difficult games. We knew sort of after that game against Villa, the rest of our season were games against teams that we were yet to beat this season. Let's kick off with the Arsenal game at Molineux. Saturday evening kick-off, and unfortunately fell to a 2-0 defeat. What went wrong, would you say? Obviously, we'll come on to the Sheffield United game in a second. Would you say before that, well, by far our worst performance since the restart, wasn't it?
Admittedly, I was absolutely rat-arsed. So it was the first day that the pubs reopened, and I wasn't going to go out. And then my dad said, "You fancy going for a pint?" And I ended up staying there, and I'm kind of glad because from what I can make out, it was fairly toothless. I could make out that like even Neves and Martinho were like just passing balls out of play and stuff, and just didn't look at the races. But you're probably a little bit more qualified on this because I know you watched the game not as intoxicated as I was. I know it's not very professional, but I have watched it. I have watched bits of it back since, and it's just sloppiness. And I think if Adama scores that chance at the start, it's a different game. But it's just too many players not at the races.
Well, yeah, I think the only shot of the game was that Adama chance, 30 seconds in. Very, very poor performance by Wolves. Especially sort of, the first 3 games were admittedly 3 teams that we should be beating. And then we came into this game, and I think every Wolves fan was fairly confident that we should be getting something out of the game. And I think you would daft if you didn't think that, we'd gone on 3 wins in a row, even if with our form before the restart, we were in great form, and that was just so unlike Wolves. It was a really, really strange performance, and a game that we were hoping that obviously the club and the squad were going to quickly forget. But even Arsenal weren't fantastic. But I think sometimes the quality, when you've got players like Aubameyang, like Lacazette,
off the bench as well.
Yeah, exactly, and obviously you've got players like your Sakas who did score. An up-and-coming rising star who's done fairly okay for Arsenal despite them having a weird season. I think when you've got players like that, if you get an opportunity, you're more than likely going to score. And I still think at times that's where, and I think there's a couple of questions about that sort of thing at the end of the podcast. I think that's at times how Wolves, if they wanted to become a better team, they've just got to be that little bit more clinical in front of goal.
Yeah, I mean, as we've seen from the game against Everton today, or whenever you're listening, just really, really not ruthless in front of goal. And the top elite teams, not that Arsenal are. I mean, look at Liverpool when they played us at Molineux. It was such a tight game, only a couple of chances in it either way. But every chance they had, they scored. And I think that has been the difference. But I remember speaking to Robbie, Arsenal Fan TV, we obviously do content with, and I was saying to him, I was like, if we don't win this, we'll get a draw. I'm going to be so disappointed because these are shit. And, we, at the time, I was kind of a little bit had the rose-tinted glasses on, like we're putting on these performances where we're not playing well and we're winning, we look organised, we look compact, well-drilled. But I think, for me, it papered over the cracks that Bournemouth, West Ham and Villa are terrible. And we didn't even need to get out of first gear to win. And you play some a little bit more quality. And the wheels completely came off. Probably more so in the Sheffield United game, but it's when you come up against teams that have got a bit more quality. We got found out a little bit, and I was really annoyed after the Sheffield United game, as a lot of fans were. But I know we'll come on to that soon, but the Arsenal game, like I said, I was disappointed before the game if we would come away with a draw or a loss, and obviously after the game, it's exactly what we got.
Yeah, I think the Arsenal game, we went into it, as you said, I think even I half expected us to get at least, I would have been happy with a point, I think. We went into that game thinking we'd get something, and it was very, very disappointing. We didn't really offer anything going forward. Like I said earlier on, one shot on target all game, and I think that was the one coming in the first 30 seconds of the game or so, and just that's the game we started Adama up front, wasn't it, as well? So such a strange...
As soon as I saw that lineup, though, I was like, because everyone gets dead excited now before the game. Everybody in the group chat saying, "Bet he goes with him." And I saw Adama up top, and I was like, I just know exactly what we're going to get here, which is nothing. Because up top, he has no impact at all. Out wide, he's so effective, but when you play him down the middle, although he's strong and he runs past people, he hasn't got the physicality to hold the ball up or to spin in behind or the brain to do it. But if he's out wide and you can see his man and run at him, then he's perfect. But up top, it just doesn't work, and I wish we'd pack it in, stop trying it.
See, the thing is, I at the time, I felt the opposite, because he had a little cameo for about 10-15 minutes against the Villa when Nuno brought him on up front for a bit against Jimenez, and I saw it, and he seemed okay, and then I think I mentioned it on either the review of the Villa game, or I think it might have been the preview for the Arsenal game, because at the time before the Arsenal game we'd had like 2 or 3 different formations and quite a lot of players that were playing. And I said, Nuno's got a good headache here. You've still got Jota and Jimenez as an option. But you've then got, because we all knew Jota wasn't quite firing, you could even play the likes of Neto or Adama up front. And I thought at the time, because Adama has matured a lot over the last 12 months. We can all admit that, can't we? And, he seems to be a bit more switched on as a player. And I thought, you know what, if he starts up front, I didn't expect him to, I'll be honest. But the fact, when I saw him start up front, I thought, this could be a masterstroke here, but I do agree with you. In the end, it just didn't quite work, and I think, like you say, just much better on the wing, isn't he?
I just don't think he's got the intelligence to his movement to kind of drag a player out and create space for the players. I think what he's good at, what he does the best, he's very, very good, and there's probably no one better in the Premier League at getting the ball out wide and taking the man or getting them on the pitch. But if you're asking a player to kind of spin in behind or hold the ball up or drag a defender out like Jimenez does to create space in behind, I just don't think he's got the brain for it. So you'd think with his his explosiveness and his speed that he's a match made in heaven to play up front, but it's just a bit more to that. If you played him up top in the Championship, he'd probably get you 25 goals a season. But in the Premier League, where the defenders are a bit more intelligent, it's just like a sit coming a mile off, and hopefully that kind of draws that to a close now. That we ain't going to see him up top again, because it just doesn't work.
Well, the thing is with Adama as well, like you say, there's just little parts of his game where, for argument's sake, a player like him, right, any player with a bit of pace, you'd put him on your last man and play those over the top balls. But the thing with Adama, he wants to pick up the ball. I remember his debut last year against Leicester when he was playing deeper than Doc, because he wanted the ball at his feet and to be able to run with the ball.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to run after the ball. And I can appreciate that. That's the way you want to play, isn't it? Really, but that's the one thing I think that frustrates me about Adama. Like I think he has started doing it a bit more. He's playing a lot more give and goes with Doc and stuff like that, especially when we need to up the intensity and urgency a bit. But and there was a couple of times, and especially against Arsenal a couple of times, he just held on to the ball a little bit long, and it's just like just laying the ball off.
You never see him make those runs in behind where he's running onto the ball, because I wish he'd do it, because he's got the beating of absolutely everybody.
Yeah.
In a foot race, but he always wants to square a defender up and then just explode past him, and it works every single time. But sometimes he slows the game down. He lets people get back into shape. So if you just be a bit more proactive with it and try and run onto it, because sometimes it's just screaming out, and it's so frustrating. Which is what we go back to, how much he's improved, but there's still elements of his game that he really does still need to improve on. But the turnaround this season has been miraculous.
Yeah, hopefully, in 12 months' time, he's had the same rate of improvement and done all the things that we, as fans, could see, and he'll be, Wolves' best player. But yeah, you guys know at Talking Wolves we love a bit of Adama. But
we've been banging the drum since he signed, mate.
Yeah,
and everyone called. I said we didn't know what we were on about. I genuinely think he could be our player of the season.
I think he'll get that. I think he'll get that award. Yeah.
You won it at Borough.
I know Jimenez's numbers are good, but I think Adama will be up there with a shout for sure.
If you don't win that, he'll win players, I think.
Other than Jimenez, I can't see who would win it, to be honest.
Cody's had a steady season. Patricio's been good.
Very consistent.
But in terms of impact, it all matters what ends up at the other end of the pitch, doesn't it? And you're never going to get your bloody centre half winning player of the season if you're going for like top 6. It's just not going to happen. So.
Yeah, especially in Cody's, unless you're Van Dijk, maybe.
Yeah, but I think there's a bit of a difference between Cody and Van Dijk. Cody's miles better.
Anyway, let's move on to that game against Sheffield United. Obviously, Wolves having that defeat against Arsenal. We're all hoping to bounce back against Sheffield United, and I think we all thought we'd got something out of the game right until arguably the last attack of the game, and Sheffield United in the 93rd minute nicking it with that John Egan header. Matt, I mean,
I'm still pissed off.
Yeah,
it's so annoying. It's honest to God, Matt. I was like shaking uncontrollably. I couldn't tweet enough. I've deleted like 5 or 6 tweets. I was like, that's pathetic. You're an idiot. You know what I'm like. When it's a performance that bad, and you know when you've gone out there, they've gone to Sheffield, and you just know it was just do not lose. Let's go and win the game here. We're Wolverhampton Wanderers. We're flying. Let's go and win it. It was do not lose, and you could just see that from the outset. And I was like, if you just have a little bit more attacking impetus from the start, we might actually get a goal in the first half. It was shocking. It was rubbish. I don't want to go on a rant because we've just won, but I think it needs addressing.
Well, I think we all know the obvious thing, and I think it was mentioned by everyone, and I think it sort of triggered Nuno to make changes for the game against Everton, was the fact that he had 5 substitutes available. We actually went on we had a little bit of momentum in the game at that point as well, I believe.
We were pinning them back in their own half.
About 25 minutes to go, you've got 5 subs available. Everyone's screaming out for a sub. Adama's obviously picked up a slight shoulder knock. You've had special agreement with the Premier League, to bring Daniel Podence back, and the bloke doesn't even take his bib off. Our only change of the game was to bring Adama off and bring Dendoncker on, which was arguably a defensive substitution. My mind is still blown today, mate.
It was like 70 minutes. We were pinning them in their own half. We looked like if anyone was going to go on and win that game, which none of them did because we were both poor, probably looked like Wolves because the kind of flows with them. And I was like, this is screaming out for just a little change. Whether you take Adama off, because you could tell his shoulder was holding him back. When he does pop it out, you can tell. I mean, he's still faster than most people on the pitch, but he doesn't commit as much. And he's like, who's that lad who signed in January? Is it Podence? I've not seen enough of him. And he's like, you got an £80 million winger who's been playing Champions League football and just sat on the bench waiting, chomping at the bit to make an impact. And then he brings Dendoncker on. And I remember sending a message to you saying he's taking the piss here. He's just having a laugh. He must be. Nuno must be having a laugh here, just thinking that these tossers here paying to watch this is a joke. But he'd obviously just wanted to shut the shop. I was like, you can't just shut the shop. Remember in the FA Cup semi-final against Watford when we shut the shop, and that worked. We do it too many times, and we
were restricting them enough because they were sitting a bit deeper because they knew we had 3 attackers. As soon as you lose an attacker and add a midfielder, you're just literally inviting pressure. I know they scored off a set piece, which was avoidable. I said that in the review. I said he's brought Dendoncker on, and it's not Dendoncker's fault that we've lost this game. But the thing is, we could have easily scored before that if we'd made a more attacking change. And I think that was the thing there.
Too many players having just really, really bad games. I mean, I would have dropped Bolly for the Everton game after the 2 stinkers he put in against Arsenal and Sheffield United and put Dendoncker.
Which is weird though, wasn't it? Because he was literally like flawless for the last 2-3 months.
That's the only criticism of Bolly. Sometimes it can be that easy for him. His concentration levels just completely go. You know, that back pass to Patricio, and it was just like half-arsed, and he just didn't look like he wanted to be there. Same with Doc, who's been rubbish apart from the assist for Neto since the restart, and who I think they'll probably look at trying to replace for next season. But Everyone had an off game. The only one who could probably hold the head up high is Neves, and again he probably dropped a 7 out of 10. But it was just shambolic, and I was saying, look, something has to change because the style of football Nuno plays is defensive, but if carried out right, it works. But when you're not winning and you're drawing games, God, it's shit to watch. I know I probably get criticism for this, but he's so boring to watch. But then when we actually go for a game like we have against Everton, and we start on the front foot and we have a go rather than waiting for 70 minutes to suss a team out, it was fluid, mate. It was liquid football, without sounding like Alan Partridge. It was liquid football. And I just wished I'd have a go and just put teams to bed. And Sheffield United have done very well. They've had a great season. Guardio's been brilliant, but I don't think one of them players gets into the Wolves side, and that might be me being arrogant, but I just don't think they do. They're well drilled.
I'd probably agree with you there.
They're defensive, and they're a really fit side. But you're not telling me they've got anyone who could match the quality of Neves, Moutinho, Jimenez, Jota on his day, Adama. I'm not having it. So why set up not to lose the game when it's a completely winnable game? I'd rather us go and get beat 2-0, and we've had a go. You know, God, we had some chances, bloody hell, but we had one shot on target, and that was Neves trying to cross a ball into the box. It just simply isn't good enough, and that's when you need to change the shape. Do what he did against Southampton, have Neto in the hole, and it changed the game. But no, he brings Tendonker on and shuts the shop. I just couldn't get my head around it.
That was strange, and especially when, like you say, there's no fans in grounds at the moment. Like, we all know that. And I know, Sheffield United are probably going to have that slight edge because they're used to sort of the arena and the surroundings they're playing in. They haven't really had to travel as much and whatever. But the teams are very, very similar on a similar playing field, really. And I think we are very quick to jump at the style of play when we lose a game. Like obviously, I know you said there it's boring to watch, but I think the same with, like, I've got a friend who's a Burnley fan, and he knows Burnley are boring to watch, but because Sean Dyche is getting points and wins with that team, I don't think they're too arsed. I think Wolves fans, especially, we've scraped 3 wins against West Ham. I say scraped, but we've got 3 wins there against Bournemouth, West Ham, and Villa.
But we were poor, really.
Yeah, I'm sure if a neutral watched all 3 of those, they would have said it was 3 boring games. However, as Wolves fans, because we won the game, we're not too bothered. But this is not a dig at anyone really, but we all know we're quick to jump at Nuno and co when we do lose the games. I'm not defending the performances at all because we were dreadful both games. But like you say, obviously we'll talk about the Everton game. But when Nuno goes for it, the way we play is the best I've seen any team play. But the way we defended and the way against Sheffield United, there was just no flow whatsoever. And then you've got players like Podence. You've got a kid like Leonardo Campana on the bench. If you want to play 2 up front, bring Campana on. Obviously Neto was injured, but he's got nothing. He's obviously got something because you putting him on the bench.
He's got
something to prove.
I got a bit of stick off the Yadars on YouTube, especially on the Express and Star video, and it was like, how dare you criticise Nuno? Everything he's done for the club, he's done more than you'll do ever for the club. I was like, well, you're probably right, because he's been paid by the club a lot more than I ever will be. But it was like, I was like, no one is immune to criticism. Nuno could win 100 games and lose 101st, and you'd still point at, it wouldn't be, well, he's won 100, to be, well, this is what he did wrong.
As fans, you
always want more.
You want the best, yeah, of course.
And he's like, in Nuno we trust. Yeah, Nuno's a brilliant, fantastic manager, and we wouldn't be where we were today, and I wish he's with us for a long, long time. But I just wish sometimes he wouldn't be so stubborn into just trying something a little bit different and stray away from the philosophy, especially when you're chasing the game. Or, he's got his favourites. I mean, Jota's been on his arse for months. I know he's a bit better today against Everton, but you just get him out the firing line and start someone else, but he just persists with the same lineups and stuff and the same system, and that's my only criticism. Like, sometimes you do need to tinker things, and it's not going to be one size fits all for every game. And Sheffield United was a perfect example of that. It was just crying out for maybe another body to link the play between midfield and attack, because there was no link. Even bloody Gibbs White, you bring him on and playing a little bit further forward. What's the harm in trying? What is the harm in trying? Instead of bringing Dendoncker on and shutting the shop, inviting loads of pressure, and as soon as Dendoncker came on, any attack we had just was thwarted.
You got to look at the Sheffield United team as well. They didn't really possess a huge amount of pace. So the fact that we were sat so deep is another thing that's like baffling, really. If you sat a little bit higher, again, like we did today against Everton, I mean, this is all in like sort of in hindsight, really, because obviously Nuno has addressed it. But if we sat a little bit higher in that game, you know, you ping Sheffield United back a bit more. There's every chance that we're going to score a goal. But yeah, I saw obviously we've got the posts and stuff on Talking Walls. We did have someone send me some words off a Sheffield United fan. He goes, it was a well-deserved 3 points for Sheffield United. And I said, I don't know what game you were watching. I said, a draw was probably a fair result because neither team really created any clear-cut chances. And I don't think there was any clear-cut chances in the game, really.
Of every game I've watched of Wolves, and it's not kind of like holistically the restart itself, because there have been some really good games, but even my mates who are massive Toffee fans, and they followed like Wolves like because of best mates to me, and they were like, God, every time I watch Wolves, it's just it's shit. It's so boring. And I mean, I know we won the first 3 games, but it kind of takes away from the performance, because it probably wasn't that great, but it was only highlighted against Sheffield United and Arsenal. Like, God, this is like, if these are just both. I mean, the Sheffield United game, both clubs just like kind of ambling to 3 points or a point. It was really, really poor. But there's too many players having off days, and when you got that many, like even like the right hand side, like I don't know, that right hand side, especially the wing back position, would be somewhere I'd be looking in the summer, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do bring someone in, because I don't know, it just feels a bit disjointed at the minute. It's usually fluid, especially before the restart. Doc and Adama link up well.
The thing is Doc, especially. I think Doc's been. I'm not gonna say he's not been good. If I'm being brutally honest, I'd say he's been okay at times, and he's been getting himself in a couple of okay positions.
Steady.
But it's just sometimes it's his final ball or the sloppiness sometimes in the touch or the pass, and I'm just thinking, if you just take half a second extra just to have a think, you're gonna get better results.
I saw that today against it. Like, he'd get the ball and he'd have like 2 Everton players coming towards and press him. He'll just be like, oh, and he'll just kick it.
He panics, doesn't he?
Yeah. And it's like, there's no need to panic. Just take a touch back. Like Bolly's made the angle. If Bolly hasn't made the angle, Cody's made the angle. And if them 2 haven't made the angle, I'm sure one of the central midfielders. Yeah,
or midfielder.
Yeah. So it's like sometimes just put your foot on it and just take a step. But yeah. And I do think they'll replace him, because everyone's think I'm going to be Doherty bashing.
Or at least get someone to compete with him, because he hasn't got no. You got to be honest. You haven't. Yeah, you've not had anyone for the last 2 years compete with him, have you? At all?
And by and large, he has been good. I think his goals and assists kind of mask over that sometimes he doesn't have very good games, but he's definitely done a job. But since the restart, he kind of looks like a centre half who's been like, right, you go and play right wing back, and because the right wing back's injured, that's what it looks like. It just doesn't look comfortable. I don't know if he's unfit or whatnot, and it could be because there's no one else going to come in unless you play Honey on the right and Vinagre on the left. But yeah, too many players had an off day against Sheffield United, but no one really wanted to have a go, and just, you know, trying to get into the Champions League. We ain't going to get into the Champions League by drawing games. I'm sure some fans would snap your hand off for 38 draws at the start of the season, but you could be invincible and bloody go down. So
could you? I mean, you made quite an interesting point. Not this year or whatever, but in the future, could you see Matt Doherty playing a centre back role, maybe in a 5 at the back system?
Nah.
All right, brilliant.
No, not really. No.
I thought you was going to say that. Did he try? Which game was it that he tried that in? Was it Newcastle earlier this year?
Yeah, he did all right. I think he's a bit of a system player.
Yeah.
And you've seen that with Ireland when he plays in a 4. He's not.
That's great. What was it. McCarthy just very rarely picked him. So I think the best one of the best wing backs in the Premier League, but he's not. He's not good in my system. Yeah. I
think it's true. I think Nuno is. I mean, he's improved loads, as everyone has under Nuno. But if you're looking at kind of weak links, in the like you look at your starting 11 and think, right, coming into next season, where could we add? Like, where could that position be taken to the next level? And I think both wing backs could be taken to the next level, but I think with Johnny, he's constantly evolving and improving and improving and improving and improving.
Consistent, and he?
Yeah.
Very. I don't think I can't remember a game where I thought, bloody hell.
But if you look at him at the start of when he came to Wolves and look at him now, his attacking positioning and stuff and his runs that he make are very underrated, having those underlaps so players can
Mate, today against Everton, there was a chance where I think it was like a 2-on-2 situation, and Johnny's about to play Neto in. I thought, that's brilliant by Podence, and it zooms in and it's Johnny. I was like, what's Johnny doing up there?
But the way differentiating between them two, I tell you.
But the way he I think he sort of spun away from a defender and he creates this massive room. And just like on another day, that ball sliding straight into Neto, who maybe would have missed the one-on-one. Probably would have missed the one-on-one. But
it's not a strong point, is it?
Yeah. But the Johnny was just making the runs. The Villa game, I know we spoke about this before. The Villa game, when Johnny's the furthest man forward and knocks it down for Donk to score the winner. It's like, man, it's like very, very. I know we've spent 5 minutes slating him, but very Doc-esque runs. You know what I mean?
Doc's attacking positioning is really good, but Johnny's energy levels, he's like a Duracell bunny, he keeps going, whereas Doc sometimes, he's like, he don't even can be asked to track back, his hands are up here, he's running like that. I know you can't see me in a minute, but you'll see when you get the video. And he's like, Johnny, he constantly, like, he have like 2 or 3 month blocks where that 1 month is good and the next month he's even better. And I think because he's still youngish and he's still learning the position, he's only going to get better. Whereas I feel like Doc has kind of reached his ceiling. Although it's still a high ceiling, I think we could go. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're screaming out for Jesus Corona, aren't we, really? That's what we're really screaming out for. This is what the agenda is.
Watch this space. Come on, the boys.
Yeah, but that's enough on Doc, because I'll get slated again, and I've had enough of that.
Well, let's move past the negative performances, and hopefully that is the last time we'll talk about Wolves' defeat for the rest of the season. Fingers crossed.
I've just Bournemouth a 3-1 off.
Yeah, I've just seen that as well. That's not ridiculously bad. I mean, I don't know what's going on with the football this weekend. It's all over the place, but I mean, that's not a ridiculous result for Wolves. But we'll chat about that after this one.
Sorry, that's just.
It's all right. Yeah, I know. I've just seen
it. It's great for Wolves, but it's just what is going on. I mean,
my fantasy Premier League just doesn't want me to gain any points this weekend.
Well, I'll put Antonio in this weekend, mate. Come Trumps.
Master stroke.
Absolutely.
Master stroke. Right. But yeah, back to winning ways. In some fashion, you look at the stats today, Matt, compared to the 2 games we just spoke about where Wolves had 2 shots on target. We had 8 today, and Wolves are just a million times better, weren't we? We were screaming, like you said, you know, Wolves just didn't offer anything going forward, did we, those last 2 games? And Nuno obviously listened to the fans, he shook it up. Podence and Neto, I want to say a masterstroke by Nuno, but I think every fan will take a pat on the back for screaming out for Daniel Podence.
#free Podence. Mate, when I saw that lineup, I'm not going to lie, I thought, he's made too many changes there.
Yeah.
I thought, I've been asking for him to make changes with that personal system, and he does it. I'm like, I don't know about that, Nuno. Yeah.
It was going to go one or 2 ways, sort of thing, one of those.
It was, I thought the first 5 minutes were a bit cagey, but Everton are by far and comfortably the worst team I've seen since we've been promoted. They are
based on that performance, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know they've got a lot of square pegs in round holes, but God, they're bad. And I think they can't kind of look at it. There's a lot of other worse teams in the league because, like my mate to the top, he said, like, because good job the league's so shit. Because otherwise they'd have probably gone down this season if there was any like quality in the league. I think that's them being pessimistic, like every toffees. But Wolves were a lot better. I messaged you like 25 minutes in. I was like, this is a lot better. Like, it's been zipped around. There's a lot more tempo, a lot more kind of dynamism, especially with Podence. Who, where's he been bloody hiding? Why haven't we seen a lot of him? Because he ran the show, and not just that. It was nice to see the wide players making like different runs, because you get so used to Jota and Traore making the same runs. They just didn't know what to do with him when he pop up with the ball in deep and drive, and even playing like through balls through the thirds. That ball he played through for Neto, God, that was sublime.
Fantastic that was.
Yeah, what a ball that was, and he looked the dog's bollocks for a good 60-65 minutes. Kind of fizzled out towards the end, but I can't remember since Michael Zyro and a debut.
Mate, remember him? That debut was unreal. I had a bet on him to be first goal scorer, and he popped 2 in, didn't he?
He had a great impact, and he won the penalty, and he looked full of trickery, but he looks steady as well. And I've said that in the Espanyol game, he looks a very, very steady player who can make things happen.
He played today like a player that has zero pressure on him. Yeah. He was confident on the balls, and like you say, that pass to Neto. I mean, very little players would try that sort of thing, but he knew as soon as he got the ball that he'd put it off.
Split the defence in half, and we don't have that.
Yeah, I agree. And so I watch him, obviously because of his height, his legs. I'm sometimes thinking, is he going to get the power on that ball to actually be able to play that pass? But the way, he got quite fortunate with the one opportunity early in the first half, but still forced a really decent. He did force a decent save off Pickford. I thought, am I going to give a compliment to Jordan Pickford based on that performance? But he did force a decent save off Jordan Pickford.
He's a donut him.
Yeah. But then to win the penalty as well, which I think was a penalty. I know for some reason TalkSport compared it to the Bruno Fernandes one, which I don't even know the logic in that. But just a breath of fresh air, like we say. He played with someone with a lot of confidence versus someone like Diogo Jota, who the last few weeks looks like someone that's a bit short on confidence, isn't he? He's a bit scared to try something and a bit scared to pull the trigger, whereas Podence was the complete opposite today. Yeah, he might have been at a tight angle, but he wasn't scared to test the keeper. Got very unfortunate in the second half, didn't he? To obviously not fire past Pickford, who, as I said, had a bit of a strange game today. It
was just a handful every time we picked the ball up. Even Carragher was like, he's been the main man all game. And he's not afraid, like, just to have a go, and he even picking the ball up from deep, which I love, and running at players and playing like 1-2s, and like I said, the pass to Neto. We don't have that player, and maybe now. I mean, one hot day doesn't make a summer, but it's looking good, and it's a shame that he's taken so long to have his chance. But I think those people who say it wasn't a penalty or like he's tiny, the Muppet too, probably never ever played football, like. He'd be so hard to stop as a defender because of his low centre of gravity. If you're coming up against some 6'5" brute like Yerry Mina, he'd turn you inside out. He would turn you inside out.
He gave Michael Keane a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah, exactly. And like the penalty, he's zipped past someone there and his turn. It's a great turn and he's off balance. You're gonna go down at that speed. And it was a penalty. It was daft by Luca Dean, and who shouldn't have been playing it. He should have been sent off.
He had 3 fouls after that booking, got away with 3 more.
I mean, you could argue that the pull on Neto may be a red, but the penalty.
And there were at least 2 or 3 of the fouls.
He kicked Adama, didn't he? But I think it was more sympathy. But I'd just like to take this moment to thank Jordan Pickford for chucking a goal in for Jota. So hopefully he can get back amongst the goals now, because the keeper should be saving that. But let's talk about the Jota miss to start with.
Yeah, I mean, we've not actually said, I don't think, Wolves did win this game 3-0, by the way. As you can tell, we are very, very happy with this result. I mean,
we praised Daniel Podence. 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah, we've praised Daniel Podence. He won that penalty. Raul Jimenez, who is, unstoppable at the moment from penalties. I think that's 6 out of 6 for him in the Premier League. 100% record. And you look at then, going into half-time, Matt, with that 1-goal lead right on half-time, that gives us that massive boost, doesn't it? But then even better, the fact that less than a minute into the second half, you make it 2-0 and Wolves are in a sublime position then, aren't they?
Yeah, they're flying then. And you could just see Everton dropped and they brought is it Branthwaite?
Oh, mate, yeah. I mean,
what an introduction. Christ.
Comes off the bench, 30 seconds later, fouls whoever it was, and then loses Dendoncker to concede the goal. I just watched the replay and I thought...
I think Sigurdsson is a little bit of blame as well for the marking, but mate, it's a good header from Dendoncker that to guide it.
Mate,
in.
That's unstoppable. The sort of way he's glanced at wide in Pickford's position, and again, it's so difficult to save those. But wait, it was Jimenez who scored a header, wasn't it, last time against Everton?
Dendoncker's probably got 5 or 6 goals this season, hasn't he now?
I think his 5th or 6th was
scored
against
Villa, scored against West Ham, scored against Besiktas. He scored a few, man.
He scored 2 in the Prem this year. 4 in the Prem, sorry.
Yeah.
And 2 in Europe, so that's 6 this year.
Yeah. Fair play, Leander. You get a few critics, me included, but that's a great header today. That was a striker's finish.
Yeah, and then obviously Wolves making the change, and because today Nuno rotated it, you look at the bench where obviously he made one sub last time, and now all of a sudden he's got a bench of João Moutinho, Diogo Jota, Adama Traore upon others. You know, it's a complete different bench, but you'd like to think during this summer, Wolves are going to invest in players that you can look at, especially they're talking about introducing the 5 sub rule again next summer. You're hoping to have a bench where you look at every position and you think, yep, he'll do a job.
Yeah, you need someone to come in and replace Coutinho. I know it's easier said than done, but I can't see him.
Well, do you not think Neves is the Moutinho, and then you've got Dendoncker, and then another big sort of mobile centre mid that can also do the Dendoncker role, or not?
I think you need someone to play alongside Neves who's better than Dendoncker. Really, that's what I think. So potentially a Moutinho would play. So Neves was probably near perfect today. But I think
it's a bit more room for him, isn't it? I think with the 3 in the middle, sometimes he's
because he plays the deeper of the 3, doesn't he?
Yeah, exactly. But today, because we were allowed to attack as well, he just had so much room. I mean, we've spoke about how good Wolves were, but I've got to honestly, I've got to look at Ancelotti there, a manager that's won Champions League titles and all sorts, and I'm thinking, looking at that lineup, I know they've got nothing to play for and he can experiment a bit, but today that was the lineup and how he set up was just asking for trouble.
It was rubbish, wasn't it?
It just literally almost handed Wolves the win, to be honest. And like you said earlier on in the podcast, we should have had and could have had 5, 6, 7 goals.
At least 5 with the Adama and the Jota chance.
Well, you introduce Jota on. I think any decent forward. I mean, this is the difference now, isn't it? We spoke about that earlier about Arsenal taking their chances. Wolves have got to. We've seen Neto do it twice now, I think. Adama did it a couple of times against Arsenal. We've got to start learning just to be a bit more composed to take those chances. Jota, it was almost as if he had a bit too much time to think about that, and the ball got tangled up in his feet.
His confidence is really low, isn't it? And he's just at the minute he's making sure that if he shoots, he's gonna score. He ain't got that kind of time, and you could see that he was like
pull the trigger. I'd much rather him pull off a save than lose the ball in front of the keeper.
Could have took it early as well. I mean, Pickford rushed from off his line. But that chance, I said to you, what have they done with Jota? Look, where's he gone? Because Jota of old would have buried that. But then he gets.
And then he shushed us all, didn't he? Straight away, like a few minutes after. I mean, he's got some serious power in it. It reminded me of 2 goals, really.
United at home.
Yeah, in the FA Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it also reminded me of the Leicester goal where Neves played the ball over the top, he chested it down and fired it in. And then the finish as well did remind me of the United at home one, where he just sort of, obviously the keeper got a little bit on it.
Just before he scored that, he cut to Adama coming on and messaged you saying, "Gotta take Jota off after that." And then then Neves tackled Bernard right by the corner flag, picked the ball up, drove, played a ball that was sent straight from heaven. Probably the assist of the season for Wolves. What a pass that was! And he's chesting it down, and you're thinking, is he going to try and stand a defender up here, wait for a player to come and support him because he's got no confidence? And he's just thought, fuck it, I'm having a go. And luckily enough,
well, that's what he should be doing though more often though.
Yeah,
we know he's got a big bit of power behind that right leg. Just have a go, man.
I mean, he took his left, but
I knew you was going to say that. I thought, well, there's a bit of a left foot angle.
Yeah,
we know he's got a bit of power on that left foot. We'll cut that bit out. We've got a bit of power on that left foot.
But he was I've not seen the angle from behind, because when he attacked the South Bank, the exposure on the camera, I don't know if it's more telly. You can't really make out what's going on. But I don't know if I think it's poor goalkeeping. I think Pickford chucked another one in, but I don't care. I'm just glad that Diego's back amongst the goals, and it's not a goal that's like come off his arse where he hasn't had much to say about it. He's created that. He's got a lot to do there, and he's finished it with aplomb. So hopefully we get the old Diogo back for the last 3 games, because that could be the difference. It honestly could. He's that good. And
then the Adama chance. I mean,
let's push over that.
Yeah. I can't quite believe that either.
It's a tough chance, He's wrong-footed. There's, the keeper's rushing out. There's 2 defenders.
He's got a bad shoulder.
He's got a lot to do there. It's a Sunday afternoon. Just cut him a bit of slack. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. We'd have won anyway. Doesn't matter. He's poor, isn't it? It was poor.
To be fair, I always used to do that. It reminds me of me back in school. I used to always have those put on a plate to me, and it's just like you're going to score, so you just like literally mistime the shot completely.
Yeah, it was funny, but
the fact he got it over the bar as well,
he eat it too well, really.
Imagine Twitter or social media if it was 0-0 and we missed that chance. Oh my!
I don't think I'd have done the podcast. I think I'd have gone to his house in Birmingham. Just been having words with him. But this is the thing though. Like, if that was a world class team or a City or a Liverpool, that'd have been 6-7. But we just can't seem. I mean, I'm surprised we got 3 because we never go for it. We get 2 and sit back, but it was good to see.
I did think that. I was a bit worried at 2.
Yeah, I said to you, we need another one, and then Jota scored us like that. Cheers,
away.
mate. Yeah, straight away. But we just need to be ruthless. Like, those chances, even the Podence chance, like, you got to be in the back of net. We have to. We need to be ruthless. We're never going to get Champions League football on a goal difference of like 4. We need to when we sniff blood, we need to go for it and attack teams and not just be happy with a 2-0. That's me anyway. Probably not Nuno.
But the result today puts Wolves back all of a sudden. I was worried, if I'm being completely honest. I was worried before this game that if we lost today, I think our chances of even top 6 were in a huge doubt. But the win today puts us in a good position again. Not quite putting the pressure back on the top 4 or 5, but puts us clear of the likes of Spurs and Arsenal, despite their result today. We're in an okay position. I think you look at the games, the next 2 games, Burnley and Palace. Palace having a bit of a dodgy one today. Burnley becoming a team that are very difficult to beat. It's going to be an interesting next week for Wolves, I think. It'll be very... Yeah, you would hope for 6 points.
We need 6 points. We can't go to Chelsea on the final day needing something.
Yeah.
Although we probably might get a point, we just can't. These 2 are winnable games. Burnley under Dyche have been brilliant, and he's such a great man. They're just effective at what they do. They know their role, pretty similar to Sheffield United, but we've got more quality than them, and you know we need to go there and win. And Palace today against Villa were dreadful. That shouldn't be a problem, but it will be tough at Turf Moor. But if you're really serious about European qualification, and especially Champions League football, must win.
Well, you would say, possibly, especially against Burnley, they like to sit back, they like to defend. Normally a team that sort of take advantage of those set pieces or those big balls over the top.
They got injuries as well. Got quite
exactly. You'd think if Wolves could go with the same sort of game plan as they did today against Everton and go out to attack Burnley, we could have another decent game with lots of opportunities again.
But I don't think we will, because we're away from home. That's the thing. That's the thing that's
worrying. It shouldn't matter though, should it? Without the fans and stuff.
It always does, doesn't it? We're always cautious away from home, trying it teams on the break. But I'd rather just Nuno say, no, well, fuck it, we're going to go for it. We're going to have a go at these. They're there for the taking, because they are really. Without being naive and committing loads of players forward, which we never do with the shape anyway. Just go out there and have a go. And then if we're 2-0 up, then a game like that you maybe tighten up a little bit and pat the midfield. But just go out there and try and win it. Don't go out there trying not to lose it. That's all I ask.
Well, it's going to be an interesting one. Obviously, the next podcast will be after those games, so obviously we'll reflect on those and hopefully celebrating Wolves continuing to qualify in European football for the 2nd consecutive season, which would be beautiful. We're going to move on to the listeners' questions now. All of these, I think 99% of these, other than one, have been given to us on Twitter. We'll start off with Andy Hipkins, friend of the podcast.
Friend of the show, top bloke.
Should Ruben Vinagre be getting more minutes?
No. Because Johnny has been really good, and Vinagre failed to really flatter when he's had his chance this season. So, if we had more depth in the squad, I'd like to see how go out and get some minutes. I really would, because I think there's a good player in there. Whether he's future lies at left wing back or left wing, I don't know, but he should. I don't think he should be getting more minutes. Johnny's position is probably one of the safest, so that's my opinion. What about yourself, David?
I expected him. I had this discussion with someone
maybe
a week or 2 ago. Yeah. I expected him to get more minutes to be honest, throughout the season in general. I think Nuno was probably looking at the Europa League and thinking, right, he could be our left wing back in that. But the games almost seemed just so much bigger, didn't they, in the Europa League?
Yeah.
And I think, I'm not sure if the club or Nuno and the squad sort of, we had a couple of games in there and thought, hold on, if we play a full strength team, and the way we were actually playing and we were managing to play full strength teams, weren't we? Thursday, Monday. I think Nuno probably thought, hold on, we can afford to play all our first 11 here. Today, games like today, when the game's done and dusted, I half expected him to see him. Like you said, left wing back, is that the role for him? We'll possibly see him as a left winger. Depending on the situation, maybe with Neto, which we haven't really spoke about. Obviously, he came off injured today. Yeah. Judging by maybe one or two of the posts that Wolves have done, we might not be seeing him now for the rest of the season. I hope that's not the case, because I'd really like us to stick with that front three. But yeah, I could maybe see Vinagre coming on as a winger. But the last game I can really remember him in the league, other than the Europa League, was it against Everton he played?
Tottenham, I think.
Was it?
The last game he played? He played Tottenham away, didn't he?
Did he start that game?
He had a bit of a shitter at left back in the first half, and second half he played better. I remember Everton at home.
Was it Everton
bullied.
he played as well?
Yeah.
Away.
Oh, what a bad day that was, Christ.
Yeah. So yeah, but to answer the question, really, I expected him to get more minutes across the season. But like you say, Johnny at the moment is Mr. Consistent. He doesn't really drop a bad performance, so it's not really worth dropping him.
He was poor against Sheffield United, to be fair, but I think everyone was.
Yeah. This is from Mike, how do we go from a top 8 team to a regular top 4 team? What do Wolves need to do to become a team that can consistently battle for top 4? Is it signings, or do you think we've got the squad to do that?
Squad depth needs to be improved, so that's just a no-brainer. I know Nuno likes a small squad, but I don't buy it. And just to take the shackles off. I think not much more than that. Get some key additions in, maybe some players who are versatile, who can play different positions, but add more quality. Because you look at the bench, you've got 2 or 3 who can come on and maybe make an impact, and everyone after that, not making up the numbers, but you know what I mean.
Do you think the current, say for argument's sake, our starting 11 or best 11, whoever you think that may be, ignoring the bench, do you think our best 11 is good enough to get top 4?
No.
So yeah,
additions we need another centre back for Saiz. I think we need another right wing back, and I think we need another central midfielder, because as good as Moutinho and Neves are, and Moutinho is probably the best player I've seen in a Wolves shirt, we just need that. We need a bit more dynamism, and Moutinho isn't going to play as big a part as he did this season, I don't think, next. So we just need someone who can take over that position and play with Neves and kind of start that handover period, because Moutinho's not going to be around forever, unfortunately. I wish he was, but I think that's what's stopping us from being a top 4 side. But when that doesn't work, bring someone off the bench who can really make a difference, because we don't really, apart from today when we haven't started the big boys, we just haven't got that player. We're so reliant on that first 11, and when plan A doesn't work, there is no plan B.
Yeah. Arbito, he says, do we stick with this lineup for the next game or the remainder of the season, depending on whether Pedro Neto is fit? It seemed faultless today.
I would like to see us against Burnley play 3-4-3, and because Neto's probably injured, bring Jota in and keep Podence, and then if Podence is having a stinker, which I hope he's not after the Everton.
Who on which side would you start? Jota on the left and Podence on the right?
No, I'd go with Jota. Yeah, Podence on the right and Jota on the left.
Yeah.
I think it worked well with Neto because of the balance. Because he had a left footer on the right and a right footer on the left. But I think it'd have to be Jota and Podence with Jota on the left, and then bring Adama on. I can't see him risking Adama too much because that's shoulder, because that's a real persistent.
He's a bit, he seems to do bits from the bench anyway. He seems to be that sort of proper super sub, doesn't he?
An impact player off the bench today. That's one.
No, I think everyone wants him to start, but we all know how scary he can be.
Yeah.
Tiring legs, and he worked a couple of times at the start of the restart as well, didn't he? So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Do you think consistency and complacency is what is missing at Wolves at the moment, or is costing Wolves at the moment? This is from Jay Marnie on Twitter. He says, no doubt we have unreal talent, but does complacency set in because does complacency set in? This is his typing, by the way. This isn't me reading it wrong.
Sure.
Because players think their position is untouchable.
Again, it goes back to the squad depth, doesn't it? You could drop a stinker 3 games in a row, 2 games in a row like Bolly, and be like, no, probably no one's going to come in for me. So it's always having that pressure and that competition for places, which for me as a manager would be key. But Nuno, he doesn't want that 20th man hanging around, does he? Not playing. So I think there is some complacency. I don't think it's a consistency thing, but there is a little bit of complacency. And I mean, Bolly's performance is no singling out a bit here, but again, it's just lacks of concentration, which you wouldn't get if you were like, I'm going to be out of this team if I don't play well. And I think that's where we kind of need competition for places. It's healthy though, because players don't rest on their laurels then, and they go to that next level rather than just being comfortable. I think being comfortable in any line of work, for me, is a bad thing. You want to be kept on your toes, and you want to be constantly improving, especially something like in an industry like football. So yeah, that's my take on it.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. I think there have been, to be fair, there have been a lot of people asking us regarding transfers. There's not really much transfer news we can talk about today, but there's just people asking what players we should be looking at signing in the summer. So we can maybe talk about that on the next podcast, because obviously it's more or less the end of the league season. We can maybe set more time aside to chat about that.
We'll know more about it then anyway, because I don't.
Yeah, there'll be a lot more rumours over the next few weeks, I'd assume. Players' contracts coming up and stuff like that. So, and again, people asking regarding the whole Jota, Neto, Podence situation. Obviously, with Neto looking like he's injured, it looks like Jota may be getting a lot more game time or starting more games anyway, so it'll be interesting to see. And the final question is from Tom Rouse. What's our best front three combination? I think that's quite difficult to say now after today's game. I think everybody at 11 a.m. would have said Jota, Adama, Jimenez. But I think Podence might be knocking on the door to get in a few teams.
When he said
only
that,
after that cameo.
I thought he meant Talking Wolves.
Oh,
He's
right,
got to be Finn through the middle, Dave on the right, and me coming in off the left hand side, surely.
We'll settle that answer, because I think the front three for Wolves is just a bit too difficult to decide anyway.
Yeah,
so,
well, we know that we'd be the first names on the sheet anyway, mate. So I'm surprised I'm surprised Rouse is watching. I think he'd be more asked about the cricket.
I know, yeah.
Mr. Negativity.
I'm sure he'll like that one. Well, we'll leave you that thoughts in your heads anyway, guys. How a front three of Finn Morris, Matt Cooper, and Dave Azzopardi would do in the Wolves 11. As always, check out our podcast sponsors, guys, at Pitch Football, the app. You can find. I'll leave their link for their Twitter and stuff in the description. But you can obviously find that app on the App Store, whether you're on the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store as well. Matt, if people wish to find you on social medias, where can they find you?
They can find me on Twitter and Instagram at mcooperwrites, writes as in written. And David, where can people find you if they wish to? At
Dave Azzopardi on Twitter. I was going to say Instagram, but I'm just going to say Twitter.
You're not a massive Instagrammer, are you?
I don't mind a bit of Instagram. I just have it all my personal pictures and stuff in it. So I do it. To be fair, I accept most people that do request, but if you do request, it may take me a month or so to accept you. So but Twitter, Twitter is the place if you want to get in touch. And if you want to get in touch with Talking Walls, you want to get involved with our new website, booming with blog posts at the moment. Our YouTube channel as well, where obviously we're getting content out, especially with a quick fixture turnover. We're getting 4 or 5 videos out a week. If you want to get involved with the Fans React series, I've had a few people message me about that. Let us know at Talking Wolves. And plenty of you did listen to the podcast and get in touch about the website last time to write some blog posts. So continue that over the summer. There's going to be loads of opportunity for you guys to get involved. And obviously on Facebook as well. So YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all at Talking Wolves. Be sure to check us out. If you enjoyed the podcast on YouTube, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel.
Christ, not asking for much, are you?
I know. Just do it all now. All right.
Just get it all. Come on.
And if you... I should have a script to this. This is almost perfect. And if you are listening on iTunes or podcast or whatever they call it these days, leave us a review. It does mean a lot. But until next time, guys, fingers crossed. Matt, are Wolves going to get European football? Final position prediction. Go on.
Position prediction?
Yeah.
Sixth European football. I'm being positive. Next game's crucial, but sixth European football. What's yours?
Sixth as well. Europa League for the Wolves.
Yeah. Get in there.
We didn't really talk about the Europa League, but we'll leave that till the next podcast anyway. Guys, thank you so much for listening.
Let's just not talk about it.
Guys, thanks for listening. Enjoy the next couple of weeks of football. Fingers crossed we're coming back with a more positive podcast yet again next time. Look after yourselves, and we'll see you all very, very soon.